And we are live. So I will take a moment to just introduce Adia and we'll start talking about our topic today. As you guys make your way into the live stream on YouTube today, I'm here with Adia Callahan, and we are going to be speaking a lot about just having the conversation about Black fitness professionals in the industry that we all love so much, and how myself as a leader and my team are really being affected by all of these amazing conversations that we've been having about, race in group fitness, in the fitness industry, whether it's personal training to group fitness to, I had listened to Adia recently. She's been she's been invited to a lot of different panels and a lot of different, as whether she may be speaking them or not. She's been an advocate, which is appreciated that she's able to join me today. But a little bit about Adia before we start the topic is just that her and I have worked together at a luxury health club together for a long time, at least 9-10 years.
Yeah.
And while I have been working with her, it's amazing to think back that color was never something that I was seeing in the club or something that I was noticing. And now that we're bringing up the conversation, and with the world paying attention to all the horrible things that have been happening, and even as I get to know Adia deeper in her past and coming to the Seattle area from Mississippi, that transition and change, just hearing her stories about that has been amazing these past few weeks. But Adia is a Pilates instructor. She's a fitness instructor. She's a personal trainer. She actually even
used to be.
I don't have that certification anymore. But she could, if you needed to personal train, she could beat you up a little bit. She along with those different roles at our club, she is also the leader and host of a podcast called Sweaty Edges. And I've had the pleasure of listening to a few episodes recently. And it's just I love that it's an unapologetically geared podcast toward Black women in the fitness industry and educating Black women on the opportunity they have and the importance of their health.
Yeah.
And I loved listening to some of those episodes. So you guys should check that out. It's on Spotify. And again, it's Sweaty Edges. So right away, Adia, I wanted to ask you, and a conversation once again on just the importance, if we can bring up the importance of, as a gym and a fitness facility or a fitness manager, the importance of noticing how diverse your team is or may not be, and just the steps that someone can take to reach out to the Black community or more diverse populations to build that diversity. So the importance of those things.
Yeah. And I want to first say thank you for having me on. I, in my career planning, did not put advocate. There was no, the topic of speaking about race is something that I had not, I'm not even a human resource, right? So these conversations are popping up. But the sad part about, I think, the conversation as a whole is a lot of communities who, when you're a minority, you typically have communal type of conversations within. Now these conversations are popping up and they seem fresh, but for a lot of people, they're old topics, right? And that's why I think, to answer your specific question, and this, of course, is my opinion on why diversity is needed, because diversity of any kind, but if you're specifically talking about race, allows for diversity of thought, leadership, processes. And if you're talking about it specifically, to the fitness industry, it allows for diversity of clientele and skill sets, right? And I think that's what the whole point is. Nobody's asking for a handout. I'm too proud of myself, right? I'll take a couple of things, starting to, just as Adia, take help. as a professional.
Yeah.
I mean, so nobody's asking for help, but what we are asking for, I think, any person who's considered in the minority of any situation is you're asking for the equal opportunity to thrive.
Yes.
That's where, to the point of the panel I was on Monday, is the fitness industry, and you don't have to have the numbers. You could just have the eyes. Once your eyes are open, you see that our funnel is really narrow, right? It's narrow all the way from the leadership and those who are in management within fitness across the board. And we're speaking in general terms because we always know there's outliers on the bell curve. So you're 5% on each side, right? But also into our clientele, who we think will be attracted to fitness. And so I think that's what some of the biggest hurdles that we have to face is we're missing out on more. And in an industry that thrives on the more, the newest, the best, that type of phenomenon, we're missing out on that. And you would think that's something that we would not want to do, but sadly, we're still there. Hopefully we're changing, but we're still there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's put so well. There may be equal opportunity, as in everyone has the opportunity to be hired or be of a certain position in the company, but can that person see themselves thriving? And like you said, not just as an employee, but also as a member or a client.
Yeah.
Seeing similar faces, hearing similar, like you said, language, all of it.
Sorry, Stacey, I know you hate this. I was not prepared.
What?
And I'm gonna lose you pretty soon. So I'm just gonna, while you're talking, I'm just gonna put this battery pack right into this computer before we have a situation.
Okay. Do it now. I'm still, and this is what's so funny. I'm trying still to figure out. I wanted while Adia was talking. Oh yay! I figured it out. Okay. So I can solo layout. So it's just a little technical discovery here.
COVID has turned all of us into videographers, like A&D, audio and visual.
I know, right? And it's so funny because every time I've gone live with you or just talk to you virtually, I feel like your setup gets better and better every time. It's like level. I'm like, oh, new background. Oh, new this.
I see Janelle and Nicole's background. Like, oh, we're stepping the game up. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's like fitness evolution, and then something will change in their background. So funny.
Yeah, and that's what we want within mindsets, right? Like it's the same. It's so simple, the concept, but because we put race,
that's so true.
Yeah, we put race, and we're so emotionally attached to it. Coming from Mississippi, race is a category, right? Like it's I noticed when I moved up to Seattle, people will try to describe somebody everything other than race, and I'm like, what color are they? What's the race? Because I think that's how we think, good or bad or indifferent. It is Black, female, white, male. You just say it out loud, and so I think in our efforts, because I don't think the fitness industry is intentionally trying to keep Black people, Asian people, Hispanics, whomever, from building their success within the industry. It's just you're comfortable with what you're comfortable with. Like I'm comfortable around Black men who are at least 6'1". That's because that's where I was raised, right? My dad is 6'4". My brothers are 6'4". Uncles are 6'6". My husband is 6'4". So I'm very comfortable around being around Black, tall, big guys. That's so when you say what's a man, I think that, and so that's where we are having to change our mindset.
Exactly. And that's where I really loved in our conversations previous to this, you were like, if you go through your day, literally reassess like the past week, every day, who have you spoken to? Who have you, like, how far away have you strayed from that recognition, that group that you recognize as your close
your
circle.
comfort zone? Yep.
Yeah. So I think it's just like you said, there's no intentional to what I've experienced. I'm sure I've heard stories since this has all begun, more and more stories. I'm like, astonished by. In the panel you were in recently, hearing some of the stories they were speaking of, I was like, literally my mouth was like falling open. Like, could not believe the things I was hearing. But while I have yet to see that in the fitness industry, it's still a great time to reevaluate. So I love having the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, because when Dr. Cedric said he heard, you were referring to the panel for Monday, he said he heard them talking about him, affirmative action. Affirmative action, as far as I had done the research on, this was I was in college when I did this research, was really to start around white women having equal space in the workforce. Like, that was the main group that it was for. And so it's so funny, though, when we, again, think about race and you throw out things like affirmative action. What about nepotism? You know?
No.
Or what about the good old boys club? Like, you know?
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. That, you know, so just trying to figure out why can we not have an adult conversation about race and what's in front of us, right? You and I talked about it before. I am the only Black female group fitness instructor. And so if you go down our hallways, I notice it. But I don't buck the system because I'm happy to, you know, so it's that give and take where I didn't do my part either to some degrees, because when I would talk to friends about coming into the clubs, the question is, did I not present it in a light that make them comfortable, right? Because you would say things like, now look, girl, I'm the only Black person and so sometimes you wonder where is your part in everything? Because it has been in front of us the whole time.
Exactly. Well, and that was when we first started talking about this. When you brought up the term, you were like, when I bring up the potential to work at whatever facility it might be, and they know that they would be one of the only or one of the few Black people, they don't want to be the signature Black person. No. They don't want to be the person who's meant to speak for all of them, or you know, and so that was like, when I heard that, I was like, what? Yeah. I reacted so intensely, but then once I digested it, it really sunk in. And that's where, for me, like I said earlier, there may be managers who watch this. Hopefully there are. I don't know who watches this. Hopefully someone watches this and goes, I'm sure there are people who think I've done everything right. But what I really want us to talk about today too is that even if you do feel like you have done the right thing, it's not about you. It's not about me as a manager. It's about listening and opening up the floor and having the conversation and identifying your day. Like we talked about a second ago, who are you associating with? How often are you encouraging the conversation of diversity and meeting with different people out of your circle? So, I hope more people start to realize that, swallow your pride. It's not about you.
It's not about, because, we spend more time, if you have a 401k that you're actively keeping an eye on, or you do stocks or bonds, sometimes it feels like we find value more in making sure that they are diversified, right? Like if you do stocks, usually the rule of thumb is diversification.
Mm-hmm. And it's a reevaluation. You're looking back.
Yep, you're looking back. But there's a reason behind that most people can probably understand. There's a value to that. And you don't feel like you're giving a stock a helping hand by doing that. Or I wouldn't buy the stock if it wasn't performing well, or I didn't think it was performing well. And that's not always, but that's one of the rebuttals you hear. You should not hire based off of color. Well, yeah, you shouldn't, right? You should hire based off the skill set, but you should also not hire based off of color. You should not hire based off of someone's name. Like my name is very not white. You might not know what it is, but you can look at my name and think it is not white. And my husband's name is very white. And I'm using that in quotation, right? It can blend in. And a few years ago, he was he was a manager at this company, assistant manager at this company. He was talking to a customer. Customer comes in, and retelling the story. So excuse me for that, but the customer says to him essentially, "I want to speak to the white Scott."
Ah, crazy. I know you told me that, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and he's the only Scott. He was also, I think, at the time, the only Scott in the company, so multiple locations too. So, when you think about things like, why are we one of the few? Is it really, you don't think we have good skill sets and we don't have good values? Or have you done just what you said you would not do, and that's you have narrowed down your scope to your comfort level, and you have not really been searching out for more skill, talent in other diverse pools? Because you said, don't do that because of my race. And I say to you, don't do that because of your comfort level. Don't go to the same places all the time. Yeah.
So true. And that's where I think it doesn't necessarily mean you go out and poach anyone or you poach an instructor, but it's as simple as just attending their class. That's what I know I have done in the past. When we wanted to start, for example, Bollyworks Fitness, it was something that I felt would serve our company, and we went out and went to classes and then spoke to instructors that could potentially teach for our facility. It just gave them an idea of who we were, and then they could reach out if they wanted to. But I think and that's where it is. It's reaching out, looking outside of your circle. And while it may not be the demographic you have now, why can't it be? Why couldn't it be?
Right.
So identifying that, I think, is really important. And then, as far as changes as far as like hiring processes or any club, like any advice you have that you've seen in the industry? It's hard to say. It's really, I
know. Because I, as Adia, I'm just starting to redevelop my network within the industry, right? And so I don't know. So when I was Adia, the engineering student, I was a part of an organization called National Society of Black Engineers. And so it seems like it seems like it is what it is, right? It was a lot of Black people in school, typically, who were technical majors. It is what it is. That's on the surface. But what you didn't know is, at least at the time when I was going to school, it also was the collegiate organization that had the largest career fair in the United States. You see what I'm saying? So that became a real pull for companies to start recruiting, not because it was just Black, but because the quantity was there and the quality.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So you started to see, and I've been through quite a few of them because I was president. So you kind of started to see, okay, there is value to what we offer. Because I personally, as a dear, I have too much student loan debt not to be professional about things, right? I invested, my parents invested. So I think sometimes if as a non-human resource person, I'm curious, where do you pull your candidates from? And I think that's something we talked about, and I actually said that to your president. Where are you pulling your candidates from? If you're pulling it from the same recruiting firm, or you're pulling it from the same career fair or the same area.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You miss out on talent. Like how does one become part of a board? How does one become part of the leadership team? Do you need to come through the front door and then work your way up, or are you reaching out to the friends and those in your network? So then what does your network look like?
So true.
Right. Because I'm not the best writer, so I need a writer in my network. So I am intentional about my network. And I think most of us are. And so the real question is, where's your support, and then where's your pull from? And then start analyzing and looking at that, because to your point, just because sometimes we got to be honest.
Yeah.
where's your who is your demographics, and are they your target demographics, and who's your real target demographics? And those two, and those two tell you a lot about truly where you're pulling from. Because if you say, I want to bring in everybody who's hungry for fitness, everybody ain't all white. Everybody is not all male or female. So then that's not your demographics anymore. So yeah, the same, I think, with your talent pool, your skill sets. You know, you want the best of the best. The best of the best isn't all white, isn't all male, it isn't all female. So if that doesn't reflect some kind of way, some kind of diversity, then the question I would have for you is, are you truly getting the best of the best?
So true. And really, where I would say that the fitness industry is behind in a lot of ways is there's not a very clear path in the life of a fitness instructor, like a career path. Like there is a lot of variety of options, but there's not really a clear timeline. There's an incredible gap in income based on, and it may be format based. It's not as easy to be as like a gender gap, or, it's so hard to identify in the fitness industry. And most gyms don't even really have a plan of who's stepping up when, and what's next. So that maybe that needs to happen first. But you're so right. Having the opportunity to create those pools and those places to recruit from, and I think that would be so helpful. And then as far as like your experience, because you come from previous sales, do you have any like marketing advice for clubs that, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. You can say no.
I don't know.
This is not in the plan.
I know. Well, because it just seems, because every club is so unique, right? And to your point, the fitness industry is so unique, right? Have a plan.
Yeah.
Have a plan. And I think really saying your target market is the real key, as far as, because fitness industry, we don't really, and I confirmed this with Dr. Cedric, we don't keep up with a lot of demographical type of stuff outside of age and gender and income level. Like, we want to know how much money you're making.
Yeah.
We want to know how old you are so we can know how long to plan for you come in.
Yeah. So true. But you're right. There's not a lot of research.
We're not, and we can research on like obesity. That's a whole nother topic, right? Like, do we make fitness accessible to everyone? Right now, we're just talking about accessibility based off of just your skin tone, but it's in your race. But is it accessible if you don't have the physique and you don't have the look? So, but we're a young industry, so I feel like we still have enough flexibility to turn around if that's what we so choose, and it's going to be work. Luckily, we promote working out, so work is part of the game. But it's going to be hard. It's hard. It's hard. But we need to be more honest about what we are and who we are, and we can still do it. I think, because we're still a young industry. But y'all, look, I keep saying this because now I see it myself more. When it comes to the fitness industry, the heavy hitters in order as far as marketing to the masses: white male, white female, and other. That other is anybody else who doesn't fit in those two top categories. There's a lot of people in that other. There's a lot of monies in that others, a lot of skill sets in that other. There's a lot of things we're missing because we're not targeting that others. So that's something that I think we should consider.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, we're flexible. Like we're an industry that's new and newer and younger, and needs to become a little bit more professional in some ways, like have a plan for your predecessor, and like, what's next, and what's a career in fitness.
Stacey, did you hear something today about that plan that lack of plan?
I know.
Okay, I got you.
It's just, yeah. So, but thank you, Adia. I really appreciate your time.
And now I'm looking at myself in the camera and realizing I need to see my chiropractor if they can open up.
sideways. I know, ended up. It's so hard too when you're doing an interview because you're like want to talk to the person, but you're supposed to be looking at the camera. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not doing all that. And you see how
No.
old these headsets are. My husband was like, "Why are you holding on to those big clucking?" Because I like comfortable, right? The same thing we're talking about. We're comfortable with what we know, and I don't know if those AirPods are gonna work for me every time.
These are starting to hurt. I wear them way too much now with
See,
interviews.
comfortable though. These are comfortable.
So I love it. I love it. If anything, people will get that out of this.
Yes, something.
But I mean, as Adia and I were doing our best, even in the panel that we were talking about, it was Discover Strength that it was through. Yeah. So I would recommend to people, if you are watching this now or later, take a look or reach out to them. They make it really easy to get the recording of there were 4 panelists that had some great insight, and I'm about halfway through it, but I'm excited to finish it. And I just wanted to steal Adia for my own. So it was nice to have her today, and we'll continue the conversation. And I appreciate your time, and I hope people can continue the conversation too, because something that we had talked about before as well is you may write the post or post the picture or say the thing or send the email, but it's not enough. It has to continue.
It has to, And thank you, Stacey. Yeah, it's leadership that has to, because leadership has to drive it, right? Because at the end of the day, our leadership should be a reflection of our moral values. So there you go.
It's so true. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.